I really like that sword sheath. That fucking thing is awesome. But
Really?
yeah, anything yellow, dude. I've got like a thing about yellow. I don't know why. There's any fucking thing yellow. And it's such an ugly, like, huge ass tacky color and fucking stands out. It's terrible, but I like it for some reason. It doesn't seem right in this scenario either to have a bright yellow sword sheath.
Yeah.
Everything else is just so fucking bland and depressing. You're walking around with this clown-like sword sheath.
Did you see the shield?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
The Triforce on it?
Is that what that is?
Yeah. It's got a
killer.
Zelda logo on it.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't notice that. Yeah, I was talking with somebody just yesterday about Link to the Past, which is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, loved that game. Apparently, she had beaten it in like 3 hours. I was like, really? Is that doable? Like, I guess it is.
I wouldn't want to. You know, you gotta take your time with a game of that.
Yeah, I was like, what's the fucking hurry? There's so much goddamn nostalgia involved in playing that game. Like, why do you want to... For me, at least. Like, why do you want to fucking rush through it? I remember how difficult and out of reach everything seemed the first time I played it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you, what happens is you get the 3 pendants at the beginning, and then the crystal menu appears, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I got these 3, and then I finished that. There was like a 4th sort of dungeon you had to go to and defeat the boss there. And then after you had done that, the crystal menu appears. You're like, what the fuck? Seriously, there's like 7 of these? There were 3 of the other ones. That took long enough, but you were kind of excited at the same time. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
awesome, more shit to do.
Yeah, the game
And there was
pretty deep.
There was like the Dark World versus, you know, Hyrule and that
Yeah.
sort of thing, which I thought was amazing and really fun. I was obsessed when I was really young with that Dark World side. Like, I was like, that's fucking cool, you know, and I wanted to explore every inch of it and shit and see the parallels. It was pretty cool.
You ever play any of the Legacy of Kain games?
I have not. I don't
In
think.
the Soul Reaver series, there's a light, or there's a world of the living and a world of spirit or whatever, and it's like that. They're parallel, but there's things that are different. It's not different. It's not like a different time, but what happens is when you shift over to the spirit realm, things twist and bend and turn and shift in all kinds of unpredictable ways, and so some paths are open in one world and closed in the other.
I was reading a book recently. I just finished it called Dead Things, and it's about a necromancer who can travel to the land of the dead, sort of thing. Somebody brutally murders his sister to draw him out and settle an old scores and bullshit like that. It wasn't really too fucking clever of a book, but it was fun. Kind of one of those, you know, fun reads.
If you liked that book, a cool book that has necromancy in it is called Mog World by Yahtzee Croshaw. And this guy, he's a necromancer, and he raises an entire graveyard of undead, and a lot of them are like so badly rotten that they're just useless, like they barely have all their limbs, and the earth is shaking. And so this guy who thought he was dead and was enjoying himself because it's nice and peaceful, he runs up out of the tomb, and he's like, what's going on? And then the necromancer's standing up on this gate, and he's like laughing maniacally and saying, now my undead slaves, come and follow me, and we will, you know, blah blah blah, spread darkness. But the spell didn't quite work, and they still have their own free will. So one of them, you know, points over and says, hey guys, who's this twat? In front of the necromancer. And he's like, so he has to like bargain with them. And he's like, well, okay, what do you guys want to be my undead soldiers? And they're like, well, we want to get paid. How much does it pay? And they're like, well, what are you going to do with the money? You're going to be living in a fortress, and you don't need any food or whatever. And they're like, well, we could donate it to charity.
Nice. I actually told the little story from Game of Thrones you told me about where did she go, wherever whores go, that whole thing. I actually told that to a buddy of mine. He doesn't watch the show either, and I just kind of shared it with him. He goes, I didn't realize it was that kind of show.
Oh,
there
yeah.
would be that kind of humor in it. And I was like, you know, I never really thought about it, but yeah, it sounds pretty fucking funny. So I don't know if he's watching now. He might be. He might have got one person on board with that.
Yeah.
With that story. That was pretty fucking funny.
One of my favorite characters is named Sander, and he's this big guy, very cynical. He's like had half his face burned off as a child, and now he just hates life. And but he has this really crass sense of humor. And then he's traveling with this girl, and she's like, "This is my sword. I call it Needle." And he's like, "You named your sword. Of course you did." and she said, "What? A lot of people name their swords." He says, "A lot of cunts."
Nice. It's like a fucking medieval Deadwood. That's kind of what
It
reminds
is.
me
It
of.
is. It
It's
absolutely.
awesome.
That's the best advertisement for it ever. It's a
Yeah, because
medieval
Deadwood
Deadwood.
was just absolutely fantastic. That is historically one of my favorite shows
Yeah,
ever.
it's medieval Deadwood that didn't get canceled before its time.
Oh yeah, what a bummer. Did that show get canceled? I thought they just sort of surrendered.
I don't know. I mean, they were like, okay, they were gearing up for this confrontation with Hearst, and then Hearst just was like, I'm gonna go. And they're like, okay, bye. Bye,
Yeah.
guy who was shaping up to be the overarching antagonist of the series.
Yeah, it was fucking with Al and all that shit.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, Al is a fucking hero. That guy's awesome.
Yeah.
That fight between him and what's his name? Seth.
Bullock, yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a fucking great fight.
And then the fight between the captain and what's his name? That was pretty epic too.
Yeah. But of course, my favorite was always Jane. Like I love Jane.
Yeah.
She was fucking just such a goddamn mess and unpredictable and just fucking awesome. Generally awesome. Like she's sitting in the saloon, just I don't. What did she say? I don't drink with anyone that doesn't have who's like something about like her having more balls than anybody in the saloon. It's just shit like that. And of course the classic lie on your back, take aim and piss. The guy's in protective custody. He's like, "I'll have you know, I am in protective custody and I am thirsty. So lie on your back, take aim and piss." Poor fucker. You leave a girl like Jane to watch the guy who's being protected, you're in fucking serious trouble.
Yeah. So hopefully I finally make some progress up into the chapel at this point, because I've been running around not really doing very much.
No. So is there a version of sort of grinding like on this game?
Yeah, you can just go around killing enemies for their souls and leveling and buying more gear. Usually I used to farm these creatures called dark wraiths near the end game to get a bunch of Titanite chunks. And you get a bunch of souls in the process you can use to level. So yeah, you can grind.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that's my thing in any sort of RPG I've ever played. Like I spend a lot of time leveling, and I'm always bummed out like to find out that your level, like the mobs sort of change with whatever level you are. I hate games like that. Like I want to be able to, level my character to a point where I'm just gonna be more powerful than the NPCs and shit like that. And unfortunately, a lot of games don't allow for that. Which sucks. Like I hate that. Like just
Oblivion and Skyrim, like that system was sort of innovative for its time, but then when it caught on, it wasn't really appropriate for a lot of genres of game.
Sure, not at all. I don't think so at all.
I think actually Final Fantasy VIII did that a little bit.
Did it? Yeah. Well, leveling in that game was a joke. It was really easy.
It was more about just drawing and not leveling.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that was a major flaw. I did enjoy that game a lot.
Yeah.
But the draw system was a huge pain. But then, like so many other things, that any game that has a wonky leveling system, the moment you understand how the mechanic was, you can just become godlike.
Right.
Because you realize, okay, I won't actually level. I'll just draw a ton of magic.
Right.
Right. I'll run from these battles and find these drop. There were these little islands. There was the island closest to heaven and the island closest to hell.
Yeah, I farmed the shit out of those islands.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you're just an unstoppable killing machine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and even at some point, I was like one-hitting the mobs on those islands, and they're unreasonably difficult.
Yeah.
But the XP, you gain 2 levels for a fight and shit on some of those.
Yeah.
And especially if you solo, or you just take 2 party members, or you solo a couple mobs, and then you wind up with a ridiculous amount of experience.
Yeah. Which
was kind of the point of those islands anyway.
Some of the banter from the books didn't make it into the series Game of Thrones. They like this one This one scene has Jamie talking to this other knight who's a member of the Kingsguard, and he's reviewing them and just criticizing everyone. And he says to him, you know, I noticed that your brother served under Renly, and then when Renly died, he served under Stannis, and then when Stannis retreated after his defeat at the Battle of Blackwater, then you served under Joffrey. Now you serve under Tommen. Now he serves under Tommen. Tell your brother to add a weather vane to his family, to his sigil.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, the fucking show sounds pretty goddamn good as far as, like, it's well written as shit, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's based on these books, is what you were telling me.
Yeah.
Which I've never read, but heard of, I believe.
Yeah, I had heard of them back when they were new, but I just wasn't in the market for a new fantasy series. But.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth between fantasy and sci-fi books. Like I just kind of, I'm in like a sci-fi mood for a while. Like I went through a Philip K. Dick phase for a while and I just read all his shit, and went back to fantasy novels for a bit. Now I'm back into sci-fi / horror kind of thing at the moment. You know what? You know what? A lot of these mobs could use is a fucking projectile weapon. Because I noticed you just kind of keep fucking dodging and just like running in, stabbing them, and then backing up, and like they're just constantly getting their ass handed to them because they can't fire anything at you.
Yeah. Later on, there's guys with throwing knives and other things. A lot more casters and other kinds of ranged enemies.
Yes, very sorry. Your reward will have to wait. I've just been freed.
I've been watching a bunch of tutorials on programming in Unity, and I found one guy who made a game very similar to what I had in mind in terms of it. Basically, it's everything you need to know to create a 3D game, first-person adventure like the Bethesda style, like either Fallout or Elder Scrolls. So, and he shows step by step what he does. So, it's gonna save me a ton of time figuring shit out on my own.
You know, the one thing about Skyrim that was just fucking awful, in my opinion, was the loading time. Like, just fucking...
Wait, you didn't play on console, did you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, yeah. On PC, obviously, it's not going to be as bad.
Oh, that's fucking great news. Like, I might actually just do a playthrough on PC just to fucking avoid that headache.
Record it. Upload it to the channel.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I mean...
I
love the game. It's a shitload of fun, and I really enjoy it. But goddamn,
there's a plus. I mean, PC. You have so many different mods for it. Mods that change everything.
Yeah, I've actually got. I was on Reddit. I was on the Skyrim Reddit, just looking around at bullshit earlier, and there is this mod that turns the landscape into sort of a Mario Brothers landscape. Yeah, I've got that as my wallpaper.
But I don't think anyone. Yeah, I don't think anyone does like a playthrough where they use weird mods like that. That's what I'd kind of like to see, because there's a ton. There's a ton of Skyrim content. There's all these walkthroughs and they have really good views. But as much as I enjoy derping around in the game, I wouldn't have thought it would be a good game to watch.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of content.
It is. A lot of people are watching it. You've had people who are like, Skyrim walkthrough episode 200 something, and they're still getting these great views. So
yeah, I mean, there's so much to do in that fucking game. Like the character I have on PS3 version is level 60, and I barely. I mean, maybe I've done half of the quests that are available on that fucking game. Maybe. I doubt that I've done that many. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun and shit like that. And I love the enchanting.
Oh, yeah.
And the ability to, craft better weapons. And I've got 100 archery and just a bow that has like damage of like 130 something. That is just ridiculous. I'm just one-shotting fucking everything at this point. Basically, I enchant all my armor to add a damage percentage to my archery. So that increases the damage on the bow that I equip and things like that. So I'm just fucking destroying everything on that.
Yeah, well, in Oblivion, you could enchant gear with... it was so easy to break the game. What you do is, when you first escape from jail, you keep the manacles, right? That's very important, right? Okay. Because what happens is, if you can enchant yourself with a chameleon enchantment, enough that it stacks to over 100% or 100% or more, you're completely invisible.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in other words, if you have, okay, if you can get the highest level of enchantment, I think is 20%. So you just need 5 items, right?
Mhm.
So helmet, chest. I think pants are a separate thing. Then boots, and then gloves, and you should be off to the races. But when you're first starting the game, it's hard to get the highest level of enchantment. So what you do is you make sure that you have those manacles still, because they count as a separate slot, and you can enchant those and then boost yourself just enough so that you can use the soul gems that are lying around early in the game, right? If you really scrounge them. And then right off the bat, you can have 100% chameleon.
Wow, that's
and
killer.
then you're basically invincible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. My sneak is so developed at this point that, I mean, you don't have to try. You just crouch, and suddenly nobody can fucking see you. Which I kind of, you enjoy at some point. But in another respect, you're kind of like, well, this is fucking boring. So what do you just like change the design, or is it you actually have to change the shield itself to get a new design?
Well, I changed the texture.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, for this game, there's really cosmetic mods only, and then there's some bug fixes. But
I like how you're taking some time to vandalize the church before you. Let's make some fucking firewood out of this bullshit.
Yeah.
Jeez. I was having that discussion yesterday. I don't think I've ever been offended by just something someone said.
Yeah.
Like a word. Like I've never went, I don't believe you. You said that. Like, how dare you talk that way? Like, I don't think that's ever happened to me. And I don't know what that is. Like, I wonder what it would be like to feel that way.
Yeah.
Because some people are just looking for a reason to bitch and like shit on other people. But there are people who are legitimately upset by words.
Yeah.
Like, so I really fucking wonder. Like, I don't know if I want to feel that way or not, but I'm really into like figuring out what that's about. Like, how do you develop the kind of psychology that gives you such fucking thin skin?
It starts with a sense of entitlement.
I guess, yeah, which I've just never fucking had at all. At all. And which is weird because, like I told you earlier, I've had a lot of smoke blown up my ass. Why I'm not one of these shitheads who thinks everybody owes me something, I'll never fucking understand. I'm luck of the draw, psychologically speaking.
Yeah, it's so many people that just think that they're special. It's like wrangling with, like for the game that I'm developing, I have learned that it's not a good idea to actually hire people, but it's only a good idea to buy resources that they've already made. And it's really frustrating because someone could make one texture for like this bench, right? Or they could make that pew, that church pew, and that could be the only thing. And they in their own eyes, it's this masterpiece. You know what I mean? They're all like, and they're like, well, I don't know. I think that you and I need to have a long talk before I'm sure. I'm like, look, just you want it in the game or not? Right?
Exactly.
I don't have the time for this bullshit. This is not important in the scheme of things. I'll have it empty with no pews before I waste, a bunch of time.
Fucking days.
This careful negotiation, right? What the fuck?
Yeah. People do that. I don't know what that. I get the feel like I don't know how those people actually accomplish anything. Like, if you have that sort of mentality, do you ever actually get shit done?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I've always had an attitude like I'm hard on myself. Like, everything is kind of like, I'm fucking just critiquing the shit out of everything. Like, nothing's ever good enough. It's kind of where my attitude is.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and people view that as a flaw, but I'm like, no, it helps me get shit done. Like, I'm always thinking about how I could be doing a little better than I'm doing.
Right.
Or if somebody's like, hey, somebody points out, hey, there's this thing you do. It's kind of annoying. I don't go, that's bullshit. I go, oh shit.
Yeah.
Do I do that? Okay, I'm gonna fucking. There needs to be a lot more of that going on with people, and they just don't fucking have it.
Yeah.
I may have bitched about this before, but it just fucking it just drives me nuts. It's like, don't you want to fucking do better